I am Alex Pears, 74 years old, and I have learned that time is a strange teacher. It teaches you patience, but it also steals everything you love. It takes your youth, your strength, your wife, your friends, and sometimes it takes your dignity too. But what time cannot steal is the will to rise again, no matter how broken you are. My story began on a quiet evening, one I will never forget. The rain was hitting the glass windows of my son's house, the same house I helped him buy years ago. I was sitting at the kitchen table, wearing my old sweater, waiting for him to come home. When he finally walked in, he didn't greet me. He threw his coat on the chair and said, "Dad, you forgot to turn off the stove again. You're getting careless. You're old. You can't take care of yourself anymore." I looked at him, hoping it was just frustration speaking, but his eyes were cold, like he really meant it. "You're not good for anything now," he added almost casually, like it was just a fact of life. That sentence cut deeper than any knife could. I had worked my entire life for him, for his education, for his future, for his comfort, and now all I was to him was a burden. That night, while he and his wife slept in their soft bed, I packed my small suitcase. I didn't take much, just a few clothes, my walking stick, an old photograph of my late wife, and a pocket watch she had given me. I walked out into the rain without saying a word. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I wasn't going to die in that house, treated like a useless relic. I found a small room for rent above an old bakery in a nearby town. The ceiling leaked whenever it rained, and the walls were cracked, but it was mine. I sat there for days thinking about what had happened. I thought about my wife, her laughter, her warm hands, her love for making sugar candies for neighborhood children. She used to say, "Alex, sweetness can heal the heart if it's made with love." That memory became my turning point. I decided to start again, not for my son, not for revenge, at least not at first, but for myself. I used to work at a sugar refinery in my younger days, and I still remembered the art of it. I sold my watch, borrowed a little money from an old friend, and bought a used candy machine. I rented a small warehouse near the village and began making sugar candies by hand, just like my wife used to. At first, no one bought them. I walked door to door, my knees aching, my hands trembling, but I refused to give up. People laughed at the old man selling homemade sweets in paper bags. But then a little boy tried one, smiled, and said, "This tastes like my grandma's love." His mother posted about it online, and slowly, everything changed. Orders began to come in. I named my brand Pears Sugar. Sweetness never dies. Within a few months, local stores started stocking it. Within a year, I had my own factory again. I employed young people who needed work, and soon my candies were being shipped across the country. At 78, I was richer than I had ever been, but I kept my name hidden. I wanted to see how far I could go without the world knowing who I was. Then one morning I received an email from a company called Mark's Delight Foods. My heart skipped when I read the name. It was my son's company. He didn't know who owned Pears Sugar. He wanted to propose a partnership to save his failing business. I smiled, not with hatred, but with something colder, satisfaction. I agreed to meet him. When he entered my office, he looked older than I remembered. His confident walk was gone. He shook hands with my secretary, and when he turned, he froze. I was standing behind the desk. For a moment, he didn't speak. "Dad?" he whispered, voice trembling. You own this?" I nodded slowly. "You said I wasn't good for anything anymore. I decided to prove you wrong." He looked ashamed, broken, desperate. "Dad, please, I didn't mean what I said back then." I was angry. I was under pressure. But I had heard enough. I told him I would buy his company, but he would stay on as an employee. He agreed. I could see in his eyes that it hurt his pride, but that was the point. I thought my revenge was complete. I thought that seeing him humbled was enough. I was wrong. A few months later, disaster struck. My factory, my pride, my life's second chapter, caught fire in the middle of the night. Everything burned. The walls, the machines, the memories. I stood outside, watching the flames devour years of work while firefighters tried to control the inferno. The police said it was an accident, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. I could feel it in my bones. I went to confront Mark. He denied everything, but his eyes gave him away. "You took everything from me, Dad," he shouted. "You made me feel small." I slapped him, not in anger, but in disbelief. "You made yourself small the day you forgot who your father was." After that, I vanished from the world for nearly a year. People thought I had gone mad, that I had given up. But I was working in silence. I rebuilt the factory from the ashes. I partnered with a woman named Grace, the daughter of one of my old colleagues. She believed in me. Together we developed a new kind of sugar, natural, healthier, and cheaper. We launched it quietly, and within months it took over the market. Pears sugar rose from the ashes stronger than ever before. Meanwhile, Mark's company fell apart completely. His investors left him. His house was sold. His cars repossessed. The man who once called me useless was now begging banks for loans. Then, one morning, he appeared at my office again, this time not in a suit but in worn-out clothes. He stood before me, trembling, and said, "Dad, I'm sorry. I lost everything." I looked at him for a long time. He was no longer the arrogant man who had thrown me away. He was just a boy again, lost, ashamed, fragile. I took out a small box from my drawer and opened it. Inside was a single sugar candy, the same kind my wife used to make. I handed it to him. "Taste it," I said. He did, and tears filled his eyes. "Do you know what this is?" I asked. "It's forgiveness. Sweet, but it takes time to make. Just like revenge." He cried silently, holding my hand, and for the first time in many years, I didn't feel angry. I felt peace. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't to destroy someone. It's to rebuild them, to make them see the pain they caused, and then show them mercy. Now, when I sit by my office window, watching the sunrise over the sugar fields, I think about everything that happened. My son works with me again. He's quieter now, humbler. Sometimes he still calls me sir instead of dad, but I can see the guilt slowly melting away. I don't rush him. Time has its own rhythm. I am 74 years old. I built everything twice, once for love and once for revenge. But in the end, both were for the same thing, to prove that sweetness, once born, never truly dies. It just waits, quietly, until it's needed again. And every night, before I go to bed, I take one sugar candy, let it melt slowly on my tongue, and whisper to the stars, "Sweetness never dies, but it never forgets."